So I'm looking at this function again, y is equal to mod of x minus 2, and see what happens to the graph, and then try and find the area of the triangle, right? So I know again very quickly that my mod function normally comes at 0 comma 0, and in this story the slope is 1, the slope is 1. When I say slope is 1, then that means in the opposite direction, or technically the slope is minus 1. And I know simply that everything is being dragged down by 2 points. So this point, instead of 0 0, will become 0 comma minus 2. So I have this point in the story, and I know my graph will go something like this, right? And now I am thinking of these points. What are these points essentially? This point is y is equal to 0. Y is equal to 0. Any point on the x-axis, the value of y is equal to 0, right? Any point on the y-axis, the value of x is equal to 0, just as an extra bonus reminder. So y is equal to 0. So I can solve it by putting it here. That is one way of doing it. So let's do that. 0 is equal to mod of x minus 2. And now again think about this. 0 is equal to mod of x will simply be a x in the positive region. That means any point on the right side of the y-axis, it's just x is always positive, right? The value of y might be negative, but x itself is positive. Whatever is inside the modulus is positive. So I can just carry the equation like this, and I will get a x minus 2. And solve this, and you will get a x is equal to 2. So what is this point going to be? It's going to be 2 comma 0. Right? That is one way of going about it. But let me again extend the process here as well. I know there is another point. So think again. When x is positive, that means on the right side of y-axis this is true. But on the other side, 0 is equal to, instead of x, I will write a minus x. And then I will carry the equation just the way it is. So this time, I will solve it as minus x is equal to 2. And finally, to remove the minus, I will get a minus on the other side. That means this point is minus 2 comma 0. And now I know that the base, because I want the area of the triangle, base is 4 units. 0 to 2 is 2 units. 0 to minus 2 is 2 units. My area of the triangle is half into base into height, right? Either you have done geometry, or everybody has done enough geometry to know at least this much, half base into height. So my base is half, and the base is 4 unit. What is the height? Isn't this the height? That means I just need to figure out the value of y. What is this distance, right, from the origin? So this is minus 2. So just put a 2, because distance, I'm just interested in the value, the absolute value, not the positive negative. And then your area comes out as 4. So the area of this triangle is going to be 4 units. Staying with the same story, but now I just want to play more. I just want to get as many interpretations as possible, right? So I already know that this point, that where the two lines meet, the bottom point is at this location, 0 minus 2. Using my standard method, that mod of x is at 0 0. So everything is pull 2 points below. So I know this point definitely. Now let me use my slope theory. The slope here is 1. Why? Typically y is equal to, if I tell you 2x plus 3, this is the slope part, right? The coefficient of x. This is the easiest form of looking at the slope, right? Otherwise, if the equation is given in some twisty form, you might have to reorganize to get there. But let's say we know the idea that the coefficient of x is the slope. The slope here is 1, because this line is nothing but y is equal to x. Okay. So let's think about it. I am at minus 2. At y is equal to minus 2. I am at y is equal to minus 2. Remember, my points are 0, y is equal to 0. And I want to get to y is equal to 0. There is a change of 2. Right? Because what is the definition of slope? Where did we start with? The change in y upon change in x. And I know the slope of 1 means if I change x by 1 unit, y will change by 1 unit. If I need to change y by 1 unit, I need to change x by 1 unit. And in this domain means x is positive, y is also changing by positive only. In this domain, when x goes negative, y goes positive, right? So just a few careful points. Here y is changing by x, y is changing by 2. That means x also should change by plus 2. What was x here? X was 0, so now x should be 2. So long about way of going about it, but a lot of times you see something, you see, oh, you know the slope, so maybe you can figure out this point using the slope theory. You know the value of y, you know the desired value of y, so you know the change, y has gone through a change of 2. And if slope of 1 means when x changes by 1, y changes by 1. So the same thing is happening to x as well. What about this side of the story? What about this side of the story? And this is where your visualizations and your verbalizations can make life easier. Even for this, the slope is 1 if I think in this direction. And again the story is same, y was equal to minus 2 and I want y to become equal to 0. So y is changing, still changing by plus 2 units. And I'm thinking in this direction. That's the only difference, right? And again, if y is changing by 2 units, x should also change by 2 units. X was at equal to 0. But the only difference is this time I'm thinking in this direction, right? Just flip your universe. This is an upward slope. So if y is changing by 2, x also must be changing by 2. So x will be equal to minus 2 because you're moving in this direction now. Or you could have gone for a longer explanation. But this works for me, especially if you've made the journey so far. I'm assuming these terms are okay, right? So that is the other way of finding these 2 points, that you have this location, you have the value of y, because that you will come very quickly from the expression, and then you say, okay, change in y, like y has gone from here to here, how much change in x will be required, and you will figure out that the change required is 2. So let's try and deal with this situation right now. Y is equal to mod of 2x minus 5. So a quick step would be to first of all maybe go a step backwards and think of y is equal to mod of 2x. What does that mean? And again I'll start from building the table. I will say, okay, x is 0, y is 0. When x is 1, y is equal to 2. The slope is visible here also. X is changing by 1 unit, y is changing by 2 units. So the slope for the lines that will be created is 2. One more point should be enough. X is equal to 2, y is equal to 4. So again, x is changing by 1 unit and y is changing by plus 2 units. At this point, I can start making the line. At x is equal to 0, y is equal to 0. At x is equal to 1, y is equal to 2. So it's a steeper slope. Now, I'm assuming you will take all the steps. Hit pause right now if you haven't understood the diagram and draw it out for yourself, because that's what we have learned, right? Input, output, I know how to do it. So draw it out, you will get the same looking graph as a mod of x. It will just be steeper, right? Mod of x was like this, 45-degree angle, one slope. There, the slope is steeper. That means for little change in x, you're getting more change in y. Or for 1 unit change in y, you're getting 2 unit change in x. So same graph as earlier, just it will be narrower, right? Let me make it narrower still, just to illustrate the point. And normally the mod of x graph was like so, a middle line, right, like a flattish line. This is a steeper line. So okay, so that is figured out, that the mod of 2x, this 2 only changes the how wide or narrow the mouth is or how steep is the line climbing. And once again, the 2 lines that will be created, right, this line will be y is equal to 2x and this line will be y is equal to minus of 2x. A slope of 2, a slope of minus 2, or if you reverse your thinking, slope of plus 2 in the other direction, right? It's the same thing. So I know the basic graph of mod of 2x, and now by default I know the graph of 3x also, 4x also, 5x also. It will keep getting narrower. I do not have to make it accurately. I will not have graph paper maybe in the exam scenario, or forget about the exam scenario, will not have it regularly at disposal. But can I still think about the numbers? Yes, because I know the overall slope is going to be 3 or 4 or 5. But the major story remains the same. The major movements are still the same. And now let me deal with the minus 5 here, right? So how am I thinking? Normally the location was 0, 0 and the slope was 2. Now everything has come 5 points below. So remember, this point is fairly easy. This is x is equal to 0 and y is equal to minus 5. So this point I know. And then I also know that the lines will be so, they will be a V shape and there will be some place where the graph will cut the x-axis, or the value of y will become equal to 0, right? And once again, two ways of going about it. You put y is equal to 0 here, so 0 is equal to, in the positive region or anywhere on the right side of y, this will just be a 2x and this will be a minus 5. 2x minus 5 is equal to 0. This minus 5 will become a plus 5 on the other side, and x's value will be 2.5. That is one way of thinking about it. By the way, because there is symmetry here, if this is 2.5, this will be minus 2.5, because you're still centered at the y-axis, right? It is, and everything is symmetrical. Whatever is happening on one side, the exact copy of it is happening on the other side, just the direction is different. So I can find the value of this, but I also want to use the slope concept, okay? So I am at y equal to minus 5 at this point, and this point is y is equal to 0. So from y is equal to minus 5, I want to go to 0. There is a change of plus 5. The slope is 2. For a unit change in 1, there is a 2 change in y. For a unit change in x, there is a 2 change in y. So if you want 5 changes in y, I'm just going to get to the answer. You will need a 2.5 unit changes in x, right? Because if x is changing by 2, think easy. If x is changing by 2, y will change by 4 units, right? If x is going from 0 to 2, y is going from 0 to 4 as such. So get that idea clear, and then you just have to think backwards, okay? If the slope is 5, if the slope is 2, that means for 1 unit change here, you will get a double change here. So if there is a change of 5, that means there is a change of 2.5. Now at this point, x was equal to 0. So 2.5 points on the right side, that means now x is equal to 2.5, which you already know. This point is 2.5, this point is minus 2.5. Base of this triangle, if you look at this backward triangle, the base of this triangle is going to be 5 units. The height of this triangle is also 5 units, from 0 to 5, right? And the area of the triangle is going to be half into 5 into 5. 25 by 2, 12.5 units is going to be your area of the triangle, right? So as of now, I'm not even interested in the area as such. As of now, let's just be happy with, okay, I know what is a mod, graph of mod of 2x, it's narrower, and minus 5 is still doing the same thing, it is bringing the graph down. It allows me to get to this point very, very quickly. Then finding this point, I can use the equation method, or I can use the slope thinking, that okay, from going from here to here, y is changing by so much. And to create that much change, how much change in x will be created, and now finally should be in your own language, in your own heads as such.